Your beloved, your treasure, your desired partner might currently be in the midst of tidying up in a sort of chaos that is happening in his situation right now. One problem follows the next, something doesn't fit. You've noticed it and you think to yourself, yes, if there's so much wrong here, and he shows you something else, it can also be, or he tells you as well, but for you, the crucial question arises, yes, great. If there's so much wrong here with him in his situation, will he come? Or will she all even reach the point of truly feeling the love for you so that we have a change there? Or does he remain stuck in his old behavior pattern? Let's take a look now whether he really engages in self-reflection and or truly realizes the love, also accepts it sometimes, and really there too follows this heart in your direction. Let's take a look now. And dear ones, I thank you from the bottom of my heart that you exist. A very, very warm hello to all of you. And I hug you so lovingly and tightly. And your comments are absolutely wonderful again. Truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Thank you for being there. Thank you for your loyalty here on the channel. And for everyone who has newly joined, thank you for being here. A warm welcome. And as I said, let's take a look now. You know, dear ones, we are in the collective. Person cards are gender neutral. And a collective reading may not apply to everyone. By the way, I also got the question from a collective again. Or from the collective. And you know, you can always contribute to the collective. Write questions for a collective reading in the comments. So, let's take a look. Good. 7 of coins. We already have love as a theme, yes. But with him, there's also this a bit of short-sightedness regarding the whole thing. But we have exhaustion is also a decisive factor. We have loss here lying. Yes, among other things, it can also be financial loss. But this is also about a change. This is about growth. Now, slowly. But maybe it's also that the whole thing has already taken a long time. That we have slow growth. But we have movement. Above all, I see a good development that is already being shown. I don't want to go too far out on a limb, but here is a development. A good development concerning love again. And something is blossoming here. So something is happening here. Let's see what else we get here. Yes. Then we have the Page of Coins again. And with the Page of Coins, well, we already have quite a lot of this material aspect present. This is probably what influences the whole situation here, or has always influenced him or her. With the Page of Coins, it also shows a kind of standstill. And somewhere he fails, or he has failed. He has always tried to push the whole thing away. But here it also has to do with the theme of trust. What I find great now is that we have movement here again. We have a new beginning. And that he is also seizing some opportunity here. What I find beautiful here is that we were at the beginning with the question of whether he goes into reflection. It is also shown here. We have reflection included with his or her theme. But how exactly, how intensely, we will still find all that out. So, and now we have the 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands. It's an area, yes. This exhaustion, again, what we have already seen is shown again. This exhaustion here is a conflict. A conflict. So in his current situation, he is in a conflict. And I say, this is a conflict in the old behavior, with the old behavior patterns and the new ones, the conflict he is currently in. What exactly it is about, we will see in a moment. But the big topic is definitely relationships. But it's also an area where something has surprised him. Something surprises him. And yes, but this is also exhausting. He's still struggling a little bit with his situation. He is not satisfied. Somehow we have quite a lot of movement, and there's also a jealousy issue involved. So there are already quite a few issues here that are occupying him. It's swirling quite violently. But where it's swirling to, let's see. Good. Let's take another look there. Well, that's already a very clear message here. That you are a big part of his process. We have self-reflection here, and perhaps even introspection, the reflection. Yes, we definitely have some massive problems here. We have issues here with your loved one. But also very intensely with the love. A very big topic. So there's a lot in motion here. I can tell you that for sure. With your loved one, this feeling of being caught between two chairs, head versus heart, is clear. It couldn't be more obvious. Because this conflict we saw earlier, in this conflict, it's like this, that he is thinking about it. The thoughts, this new beginning, a change. But the conflict he or she is in is this: oh God, just don't do anything wrong. So we have a little bit of a standstill here as well. But again and again, there's an area where something is happening. I have a lot of movement concerning the heart level. His situation is really becoming completely chaotic. So one problem follows the next. Problems, trouble with other people, both male and female, collective reading. I have here, yes, connections are being severed, conversations, so that he also completely withdraws himself and doesn't even discuss anymore. Because I see complete disappointment with him or her. And there is absolute disharmony. It doesn't come into harmony in connection with oneself. Because he says something doesn't fit here. The only thing I see here now, which I find really great, the only thing he or she is repeating from the past, or what he or she is dealing with, is not old behavior patterns. No, and it's past issues within you. He might have closed himself off to you the whole time. He withdrew from you, or perhaps you withdrew. And now, you also show him the cold shoulder. Maybe it didn't bother him at all for a long time, but now, withdrawal, whether you withdrew or he withdrew. Withdrawal, that's what occupies him. That this heaviness is being shown here. There is no contact, maybe for some, or the contact is difficult. And the withdrawal, that's what he keeps bringing up from the past now. It's what didn't bother him back then. It bothers him greatly now. And we have a heart connection lying here. The heart knocked and said, look, boy, I was at the gym for a while. I mainly built muscles. Here I am. I now have the strength. I'll show you the way. And that is being shown. And there we always have this from the past, the connection between the two of you. The connection, the movement that he might have pushed you away, or always kept you waiting, didn't want to decide, always put on hold like that. Maybe everything on the surface. Let it run its course. And that's what he can no longer agree with now. We have movement here. In the movement, it's absolutely you. I have the attraction. As I said, the heart has taken the lead here and says, so boy, watch out. I'll show you now. The direction is very clear and obvious Because out of all this mess here, and he goes into self-reflection, definitely, because he realizes, as I said, one problem follows the next. He becomes aware that happiness is no longer by his side, as if he has completely gambled away his happiness. He is not doing well at all anymore. And the blows, one after the other, that come here, then that is what completely affects him now. And above all, he is no longer sure in his environment who is still honest, who means it sincerely. And that's why he withdraws. Because he really feels like he has played with his own happiness. And when we talk about the topic of happiness, then it is also the connection with you. Because with him, I sense the heart's touch towards you from him. And he becomes aware that this has constantly repeated itself. It completely opens his eyes now, where he says, how stupid was I actually? How naive, how childish have I behaved? So it really triggers something here. So his own mask truly falls, he becomes aware. What he has always seen incorrectly, as he partly let himself be dominated, has let himself be shaped into an X form, U form, made wrong decisions that he was sold as naive. So we are here collectively. This doesn't mean that everything here is always completely one-to-one, and that every single situation is like this, or every single little detail. But that now something like this is shown to him, he truly becomes aware of it. And it really hurts him. I see the energy loss in him. Some might even say that he sometimes looks a bit too deeply into the glass. Yes, that is also shown. But it's because he is processing it. This doesn't mean that he completely falls into it and never comes out again. It's simply his own frustration. And that others have been determined and acted in their own favor here. But he revisits the question of whether he becomes aware, whether he feels the heart, whether he really opens his heart now, feels what? Love, the love in your direction. I tell you in this reading a definite yes. Because, as I said, we have a connection. He is currently stuck here. He is still struggling with the decision. Decision, yes, but from this tendency, it is so. We have the detachment from the old. There are still one or two little problems that he has to solve himself. Because, yes, the standstill, it is currently like motionless, as if he cannot move. Partly even like a state of shock, because he must have noticed something from one thing or another, which really hit hard, can be male or female. What a full stop I was here. And especially that he pushed you away. That is really, I have it on the level of consciousness. It is on the level of consciousness that he also, you were happiness for him too, that he also pushed that away. Now this feeling really comes up. You will also notice when you have contact again, the contact between you two will be shown here in this layout. Although it was not the question, but as we say now, everything will show the cards. The contact will also be shown again between the two of you. And you will also notice that he is different. Not immediately from the first time you call, or see, or write. But you will notice that there is something that is coming little by little. In small steps, yes. And it's still somehow like in its infancy, the whole thing. But it grows and becomes bigger and bigger, this change. You will also notice it. You will notice that more warmth comes, or that some words are also warmer. Or maybe even a compliment, if he perhaps never gave compliments before. And that he also shows a different behavior towards you. Jealousy, if I'm yes, also. But that he no longer reacts so extremely to it. Or maybe he's no longer offended and sulky. There we have the change. Because you will notice that more warmth also comes from him or her, and that you also feel more at ease. Of course, I have you clearly and distinctly lying here in this main alert position. So young man, now hold on. So you assume something is coming. Something is here. Something is fishy. You don't trust it, so to speak. And you also have for yourself, you are in this, yes, cautious attitude. First, that you close yourself off a bit, maybe don't say anything further, which is also right and good. Absolutely. Because you say, no, I'm not going to open up completely right away because I don't want to get hurt anymore. Because you always have in the back of your mind, like a premonition, which I can tell you here along this line, the wrong premonition that you will be pushed away again. And you observe, I see you as if from a bird's eye view, that you are observing everything here now and letting it sink in first, because as I said, you don't trust it. Trust needs to be rebuilt between the two of you anyway, but it will be. He will put in a lot of effort here. And it might not be a straight line all the way through where you notice the change non-stop. He might waver a little bit now and then, but only minimally. I have the intervals here, briefly. That he has this insecurity or that this old behavior pattern is briefly grasped again. But I have short sections here. So it's not like this will last for weeks or months. No, I only have it briefly. It could just be a few days here. Or maybe just one day or a few hours. And then whoosh, the whole thing changes again because I have these short intervals repeatedly. As I said, you will notice more of this warmth, this cordiality, and also other words where you might think, I've never heard that from his mouth before. Things like that. And just smile about it. But here it would also be important that you don't say, wow, I've never heard that from you before. Just accept it and leave it at that. Because if you were to say something in this situation, like, wow, you've never said that to me before, or hey, I've never received such a compliment from you, he will become insecure again. If something like that comes from you, his insecurity returns, and then it might be that he closes off again for a while. So if he says something loving, something warm, accept it as well. Go with the flow, with this momentum. So let's see what else we have here. Okay. We have the Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords, okay. We have a sudden end here, lying. So I see this sudden end here in a positive light. The sudden end, the detachment from the old, that it is completely finished. That's what it is. The struggle is still within him. This back and forth, what should I do? So like being in an in-between world, but the old, it will suddenly end. And then he or she will also. I find it fantastic here in the overall picture of this reading, because this decisive conclusion is also shown. And relationships, connections will also be broken off. Not you, don't be alarmed. Relationship connections, old ones, from his old behavior patterns. Because he will seize this opportunity. We already have the opportunity here twice. He or she will definitely end this chapter. What was old where the head ruled? Where he allowed himself to be influenced. Then we have a very, very, very coin-rich reading here, right? 4 of coins. But it can really be that when he comes out of this rigidity, he will truly be open towards you. And also let's go of control, because you always wanted everything. You always thought you had everything under control. You just thought for yourself that he might also need this compulsion to control, keeping everything under control. But others, they had control over him. And he also lets go of the control of holding on to the old. He no longer lets himself be controlled by the old. I find that absolutely perfect. So then, as I said, it can also be that quite cautious, yes. He doesn't want to rush in right away, but will slowly approach you, or the whole thing, and becomes much more open. Much more open. Yes, we still have this material aspect here with us. I don't think he can really let go of that. But the heart takes the upper hand. And it might be that you feel a bit like, oh God, now he's clinging extremely because he doesn't want to let you go anymore. It can really be like clinging a bit. That's when you think this is getting tight now. Here is the whole thing. Or that maybe some people here are overly worried. Are you okay? And is there anything else I can do here? A little bit of what's exaggerated, but it's not fake. It's not wrong. It's really honest and genuine. But it's the transition that he can't really handle in this situation. And then it can be a bit exuberant in that area. But until the whole thing regains a bit of balance, because I still have this imbalance, yes, to simply accept the new. So as I said, it can be a bit clingy, right? For some people. Dear ones, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching and wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Goodbye.